It's time for Twig, This Week in Google, and this week it's a special Twig, the best of 2024.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 800, recorded for Christmas Day 2024. The best of 2024. Hello, everybody. I'm Leo Laporte. We've given Paris and Jeff the week off, but believe me, we have lots of great content from the year gone by. It's a look back at 2024 on this special episode of This Week in Google. We'll start off with Jeff with an interesting proposition.
So, I like your idea. Tell us what your idea is.
So, Bell Labs in Murray Hill, where the famous Bell Labs, where so much occurred, is closing. The Bell Labs, now owned by Nokia or whatever was left of it, is moving to a new facility in New Brunswick by Rutgers, whole modern, blah, 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 blah. So the old Bell Labs, which is this phenomenal building in Murray Hill and phenomenal grounds, is going to be empty. And I'm proposing that it be turned into a museum and school of the internet.
Brilliant.
You think about it, why there? The internet wouldn't be possible without so much that was forged at Bell Labs. Transistor, laser, information theory, Unix, communication satellites, fiber optics, advances in chip design, cellular phones, compression, microphones, talkies, the first digital art, artificial intelligence. We wouldn't have an internet with so much of what was done at Bell Labs.
Unix, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
And the C programming language both came out of Bell Labs.
Yeah. So there's a computer history museum in Silicon Valley. There's a television museum in the Paley Center in New York and the Museum of the Moving Image in New York. Glenn and I well know that Massachusetts, I give a plug to him in this, Glenn, has a museum of printing. Online, there are, amusing artifacts online, but I think it's important that we have a place to recognize the development of the internet, to talk about it, to think about it. You all know that I want to start an educational program in internet studies, bringing the humanities and social sciences into this. I think it's a place to do it. So this was my little jump on it idea. I want to end with one thing on this is that...
Does Nokia still own it, by the way? Is it?
Yeah, I believe so.
It's not AT&T anymore. Nokia.
Not AT&T anymore, no.
Yeah.
No, not long since. So David Eisenberg, I think you know David Eisenberg.
Of the Clue Train.
A 12-year veteran of Bell Labs wrote the infamous memo pushing the value of the stupid network.
Oh, no, that. That's a different David.
You think it's David
Eisenberg? David Weinberger. This is David Eisenberg.
Yes.
So he, in his own website, says that the memo was received with acclaim everywhere in the global telecommunications community, with one exception, at AT&T itself. So Eisenberg left AT&T in 1998. So I think it'd be wonderful kind of justice to make Bell Labs the place for the internet. So I just put it up.
I love this.
We'll see if there's any reaction.
I love this.
Yeah, great idea.
It's also it's an hour drive from where I am, so then I can visit the Internet Museum regularly.
Field trip.
I also think
I went there once. When we started NJ.com, we did start NJ.com.
It was the Star Ledger, right? It's the
Star Ledger, who I used to work with when I worked on that. So we went to visit Bell Labs. And I think Nokia owned it then before it went to Lucent, or Lucent owned it. I don't know. It's been a child shoved around from house to house, but it's drab, as I remember, industrial green walls. But you walk by the labs, and you see the benches and the blackboards, and you think, what genius was in there? What happened in these places? It's haunted by genius. And we can't let it become condos or warehouses.
I think it's also good to be a place where you could go and see the internet, right? And I'm sort of being funny, but back in the 90s when I had an early internet company, I would get calls from local media all the time because they needed kind of B-roll and they wanted to shoot. And they'd say, can we come and look at the internet? I'm like, well... Like Glenn has it. Glenn has the internet. Sure, it's in this room. It's some Sun Systems. And they would come in and we would talk about the internet, or get like national news and be like, this guy has the internet. And it felt a little like, well, people are looking for a physical thing to put on it. Yes. And now as a phone, the internet. So I think there's actually something nice about instantiating the notion of the internet as a place, as a thing you could go and look at what made it in a way that there's no, as you said, there's no technology museum that is specifically devoted to what the internet was, what it became, what it is now, what it's going to become. I think it's great.
Right, and do an oral history with Sir Tim Berners-Lee and with Vince Cerf and the folks who were there at the beginning. And I think it's something we've got to remember. I plug my books at every opportunity, as the poor listeners of this show know. I did it in my testimony. I'm very proud of myself. I got no book plugs in my testimony. And in this op-ed,
Yes, we noted that, by the way. You also, you didn't mention it by name, but you got to plug in for this show too.
Well, actually I did, because that was my intro.
Yeah.
So the name of the show was in the intro.
Did they mention This Week in Google?
Yes, they did.
And your AI Inside show.
And AI Inside.
Which, by the way, continues on.
Which, by the way, while we're on that, just real quickly, tomorrow, Jason is going to drop episode 0 of AI Inside at aiinside.story with his Patreon up to support it. And then next week, we'll have our first real show.
Great.
So it's the show, basically, you were workshopping in the club.
Exactly.
You're just going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Glad to hear it. That's really
so. Anyway, it took 500 years to decide to study the book. We can't wait that long for the internet. We need to study it now.
And you can have an animatronic Al Gore who can guide you through the museum.
God,
and explain.
It's all mine.
And explain repeatedly. I didn't say what they said I said, but anyway, I did.
I
did it. But
I was instrumental in the internet growing. I did not build the internet.
That's right. It's just in a loop and it follows you around. You're like, okay, Al, I get it.
I don't travel with
I'm just thinking. I'm thinking that you would, Paris, since you saw wood on the street
because of the outside.
That's true. I do saw wood in the street.
She builds furniture.
She does have a
I do have an industrial size measuring tape at my office desk, just in case.
This is what I travel with.
Oh, and my version of that is during the summer months, I travel with a pair of garden shears in my bag in case there are any low hanging. I do, because as Jeff, a fellow tall person, will understand, the trees will sometimes be really low, and then no, I'm not stealing anything. The trees will be really low on my walk to and from the subway, and they'll hit me in the head, and no one trims them.
Hate that.
So I do guerrilla gardening.
Are you,
wait. Change
I'm a fellow tall too, but I never thought about doing this. I would always I would limbo under the trees, not limbo. Limbo under the trees.
Wimps.
You're a guerrilla gardener. You go around with shears and you cut.
Oh, she's a guerrilla gardener.
I am joining this club.
It's great. It's phenomenal. It gives you a sense of power.
How big are these shears?
They're pretty large. I'll see if I can find them.
Do you put them up your sleeve?
Send them to me because I'm going to get some and I'm joining your club.
Paris, you are going to make such a great old lady. These trees are
she is Fran Lebowitz. I swear to God, that's the kind of thing Fran Lebowitz. I have to say, the idea of Paris walking around New York City, randomly pruning trees, cracks me up. There will be more about this later. By the way, you're watching our Best of 2024 for This Week in Google. We're so glad you're here. Happy holidays. On we go with one of our favorite guests on This Week in Google. This was actually the first time the wonderful Molly White made her guest appearance.
I was going to point to the Wikipedia article on the lamest edit wars. Lest anyone think that Wikipedia editors
were you part of this lamest edit war?
It's a list of them.
Oh.
So I don't think I've been a part of any of them.
Okay, I think it's really funny. The disclaimer up top says, this page contains, in bold, material that is kept because it is considered humorous. Such material is not meant to be taken seriously.
We like to warn people before we get too crazy on
No
Wikipedia.
irony on Wikipedia.
My favorite one is towards the bottom where people were edit warring, which is really just when you're editing back and forth between versions of a page over whether or not we could call the tiger the world's most powerful cat.
These are hysterical. The things people fight over. The Bee Gees, are they a British or Australian group? Freddie Mercury. What's his true ancestry?
Jennifer Aniston, is she American or American born? Is she Greek American, English American, Greek and English American? Does she need all those prefixes? So Copernicus, P.G. Woodhouse, Werner Herzog, Saladin, all of these have been edit war subject matter. Which one is your favorite here? The
tiger.
The tiger.
It's towards the bottom.
Towards the bottom. Is the tiger well, that's a really good question. Is the tiger the most powerful cat? I don't know.
Complete with accusations that people were tiger fanboys.
A revert war.
And gradually led to arguments about how tigers would match up versus bears and crocodiles. Oh my.
Complete with another revert war about the inclusion of a YouTube video showing a tiger fighting a crocodile. Wow. Wow, I love it.
I want to talk next about a great article that the New York Times did on taking a deep look into Musk's charitable foundation.
Yes.
And I want to also throw it to Ed for kind of an overview of this a little bit, because I know you just did a podcast episode about this where you interviewed one of the authors of it, David Fahrenthold. I guess, can you tell me a little bit about the article and
Who's
what that was like? Yeah,
absolute legend, David. He jumped on the phone the day after the article went out. What a legend. So, long story short, Elon Musk parked about $5-6 billion of Tesla shares. To be clear, he didn't buy them. These are just shares he had in the Musk Foundation, a non-profit. Now, part of the rules of doing this is you have to spend 5% of it every year to qualify for the $2 billion odd tax break he got. He regularly fails to do so. He regularly fails to donate enough money to do so. But he also, unlike, say, Larry Page's foundation, he doesn't dump it in a donor-advised fund, which is kind of a black box for giving grants to people. No, he has no staff. He has 2 unpaid volunteers, and he is the other person on the board. And it isn't really obvious where the money goes. When it does go somewhere, it goes in either very small amounts and does very little, or very large amounts and also does very little. There is a school called Ad Astra, which is literally inside a SpaceX compound where Musk's own children go. It used to be outside, now it's inside a SpaceX compound. They got several $1 million. He gave $100 million from the Musk Foundation to another nonprofit just called The Foundation.
Really firing on all cylinders there.
It is so the
good.
Foundation.
It really is good.
And Rand.
It bought a bunch of land out very close to a Boring Company site in Texas. Mm-hmm. Very cool, very good stuff there. He also donated $55 million to a cause of a guy who auctioned off seats on a SpaceX flight, who then immediately bought 3 more seats on another SpaceX flight.
And I think one of the interesting things that David, the reporter, brought up in your interview is part of what is supposed to be happening here is if you are getting this tax break from being a charitable organization, you have to do charitable things, meaning you have to do things that benefit the public good. And this article, the thing that it kind of hits again and again is that it's unclear if any of kind of the Musk Foundation's investments or philanthropic endeavors, it's unclear who they benefit outside of Elon Musk or Elon Musk's employees and customers, which is incredibly unusual for a charitable foundation.
Well, a good one he did as well was he said he was going to fix the water contamination problems that plagued Flint, Michigan. Promised he'd do so. He actually tweeted at one point that he'd already done so and then deleted the tweet in 2018. He gave him about $1.2 million, which is, it's good. He did something. They bought water filters for the school. They bought laptops for the school. Great idea. They then responded to him with a 4-page plan, basically saying, here's how we will do the thing you promised to help us with. And then you can fix the water as you promised. He sent a Tesla development executive to Flint, Michigan, who gave people rides around the parking lot. Of City Hall.
A ride in a Tesla? That's incredibly charitable.
And then he said, hey, well, we might build an office out here. And you'll never guess what happened. He didn't build anything.
No.
He didn't fix Flint, Michigan at all.
Some of the details in this story are just wild. I mean, as you'd expect from an Elon Musk story, some of them are kind of, I'll quote from in here. Among the donations the Musk Foundation has made, there was $55 million to help a major SpaceX customer meet a charitable pledge. There were millions that went to Cameron County, Texas after a rocket blew up. And there were donations to 2 schools closely tied to his business. One that was literally physically walled off inside a SpaceX factory compound. And the other, like you mentioned, is located next to a new subdivision for Musk employees. I just want to go into a little bit more about the one you mentioned, Ad Astra, which is Latin for to the stars, ostensibly was founded by Musk as a nonprofit school to explore new ways to teach math and science. And this is from the Times again. But that school, too, would serve a personal purpose for Mr. Musk. In its first year of operation out of his home in the Bel Air neighborhood of LA, 5 of Ad Astra's 14 students were his own children. The headmaster said the only criteria for admission were, quote, kindness and eagerness to learn and parents that worked at SpaceX.
Company store. I just want to again underscore. I made fun of the New York Times using the verb underscore the other day for what reporters really want to say themselves. So anyway, I'll underscore Kashmir Hill and David Fahrenthold. The Times is driving me completely batty lately with its credulous coverage of fascism and its Biden, but his birthday polls and all this stuff. But the Times is also the repository for people like Fahrenthold and Hill who do this kind of great work. And we just more of this, please, less of the other crap.
That Ed Zitron, he's quite the character, isn't he? I mean, wow. I'm glad I was not here for that. But it was wild, wasn't it? You're watching the best of 2024 on a special episode of This Week in Google. Happy holidays. We're glad you're here. On we go now with, let's see, a visit to a New York City apartment with a built-in podcast studio. It's a dream come true.
We're gonna go to Paris's borough. We're gonna go to Brooklyn and Boerum Hill, a new building, a lovely new building, trying to be in the neighborhood, a nice place. Read about it all. It has a steam room. Nice. It has all kinds of other things. It has a podcast studio.
Oh, I'm moving there now.
In the apartment building.
I bet you the rent in that apartment would be less than the cost of our studio here.
Yes.
Right?
And you get to be neighbors with Paris.
I like Brooklyn.
Wow.
Is Boerum a nice place to live?
Yeah, I like Boerum Hill.
Okay.
It's cute.
Yeah, cute's the right word. Yeah.
Is there a picture of the podcast studio? This is nice.
I want to see what the rent is here. What's the address?
It says the small ones, they have 5-bedroom ones. They haven't priced that. The small ones start at...
A studio starts at $700,000.
Yeah. A month?
No. To purchase.
Oh, okay.
Purchase.
Actually, that ain't bad. That's not
for a studio.
Anything under $1 million.
That's how much it would cost for a studio here.
No, for a studio apartment in Boerum. The studios in these big buildings are like
a small,
barely big enough.
A 1,100 square foot house in Petaluma would be $1 million. Believe it or not.
Oh yeah, no, 1,100 square foot anything in Brooklyn.
This is 50 square feet.
Million.
Probably. Yeah. Studios of 5 bedrooms start at $700,000. 12,000 square feet of exterior amenities, a cold plunge pool, a podcast studio, a steam room.
You do your cold plunge, you record a quick 3-hour podcast,
That's what I'm thinking.
Then you go into the steam room.
That's what I'm thinking. We spent $8,000 a month on this. I could just shut this place down, live in Boerum Hills, do the show from there.
Get 1.5 apartments in Boerum Hill and do the show from there.
Well, I don't know if I want a studio. I'm a little old for that.
My other thing is very silly, but I saw it and I thought you guys would find it fun. It's cow magnets. Which
not something you put on your fridge.
No, not something you put in your fridge. This site explains, what is a cow magnet? Have you ever heard of this type of magnet? Actually, cow magnets are very popular with farmers, ranchers, and veterinarians because they're a well-known method of preventing hardware disease in cattle. Hardware disease is basically where cows just eat some sort of metal and then it ends up in the digestive tract and hurts them when they try to expel it. So in order to fix it, what they just basically is they they give the cow a big magnet, they swallow it, and it sits there and it just collects all the metal. It's cow magnets.
Do they occasionally
do they ever open up the cow and get it out, or does it live there?
Oh, it just stays there.
I think it just stays there.
They're very strong magnets, Alnico magnets, in the shape of a smooth rod, about 1/2 inch by 3 inches.
This is life with Paris.
How do you find out about cow magnets?
Honestly, I saw it on Y Combinator's news website. Sometimes I just go on there looking.
Don't tell me it's worth $10 billion.
I must have missed the Hacker News cow magnet piece. I love Hacker News.
They just linked to this website, and I was like, listen, I'm here for cow magnets.
This is it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who knew? I wonder, I bet you there are people in our audience who are saying right now, oh yeah, cow magnets. Sure.
Yeah, that's why you can't
know
take
about
a cow
that?
through TSA.
You didn't know that? Yeah.
I just think it would be really funny if we approached like human medicine, like these veterinarians, where it's like, people keep eating metal and getting sick. Let's just put a big magnet in there.
Scooter X has put a link to the Amazon cow magnets listing. Master Magnetics original cast Alnico 5 cow magnet. 1/2 inch in diameter, 3 inches long. Pack of 2 for $22.
That's reasonable. Oh, it's got a little cartoon cow inside diagram. That's interesting.
But you could only feed them one, because if they ate 2,
then they would
get
they'd
preparations.
snack together.
Yeah.
The history there. You need the cow's privacy to be violated under HIPAA. So you don't do too.
People who bought the Master Magnetics original cast cow magnet also bought, and then it's just a bunch of cow magnets.
The last slide in this Amazon display is a thing that says, vets agree, get magnets in the cows early.
Oh my God. Don't wait till cows are already sick. Make them swallow this now. I wonder if humans should do this.
Yeah, I mean, there's the whole dangerous things, trying to putting the little magnets in your hands and whatnot.
Here explains. One magnet works for the life of the cow. Administer with an ordinary balling gun.
Oh,
ow!
What's
I don't know, and I don't want to know.
Poor cows.
Poor cows.
Poor cows.
Poor cows.
We need an intervention.
No, we don't, Jeff.
For Paris.
Stay away from me.
No, Paris. Jeff has sadly miscalculated. I will stand by tab hoarding with you.
It's correct.
It's correct. It is
this
correct.
From X.com. I probably have a brain disease because I genuinely believe I need every one of them. According to one tab, you have, stand back, 6,775 tabs.
I do have to say, I don't think I've achieved numbers like that, but I am impressed, and I will not give you crap.
Is that all at once? They're not all open.
Well, no, it's because I use one tab whenever I have a lot of tabs going on. Frankly, my most common use of one tab is whenever I'm going on this show and I need to make room memory-wise to be on Zoom for 3 hours or whatever. So then I click the one tab button on like 20 different windows, and they all go in there. And then if I need to search for them again, they're all there.
So
saved.
This is actually of great interest to me. Is this your habit as you're researching for a story or whatever, or what chicken to buy?
Yes.
You will open multiple tabs and you'll have them all open at once.
I will open. I'm trying to see if I can get a count here. Let's see. I'll read the ones that I closed before I got in here. One was a window with 19 tabs. Another window with 7. Another window with 36 tabs. A window with 16 tabs. A window with 20 tabs. These are all from today. A window with 24 tabs. Another window with 11 tabs. 6 tabs. 23 tabs. I'm still on today. Okay, that's all today.
I'm traumatized because I recently had some sort of crash where previous session could not be reloaded. And since then, I'm already back to 103. And this was like a couple of days ago. So,
I don't understand. Now, as a non-tab person, I don't get it. What?
How are you a non-tab person? Are you just looking at one humble web page
I
at a time?
I have 2 tabs open right now. I close tabs all the time. Now, I pin tabs. I do have some pinned tabs. So maybe that's what we're talking about here. This is in Firefox. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. These are sites that I go to all the time, like Tech Meme and so forth.
Like bookmarks, though.
These are more like bookmarks. So these are actually the sites that I go to.
I have 23 tabs I've opened during this show.
So you never.
And that's like me closing tabs.
You never.
I try not to. I have to be careful when I close them because if I close them too soon, I will need them immediately a half a second.
Well, you know about history, right?
It's the problem is I'm relying on the browser technology, and I keep achieving inadvertently tab bankruptcy because it blows itself up and I can't get them back. But normally I'm just trying to keep it as the running to-do list. It's easier to go back to them. Where if they're closed, it's a little too out of sight, out of mind.
See, it's interesting.
Now, mind you, the new Chrome has uses AI to organize your tabs.
Oh God, no!
I think that's
no. I mean,
my tabs are in specific orders, and I need them to stay that way.
Yeah.
So you move them around.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
This is also how I feel about Windows on Mac. I believe, automatically have a system on that will reorganize the order of your windows.
I turn that off.
Swipe
too.
left and right. I turn that off because I have an order and it does not need to be messed with.
No, I agree with you on that.
And I am interested in what Paris would recommend as tab managers because I've been relying on the browsers and.
I really like One Tab, honestly, because especially, you can then. I'll hit the One Tab button in Chrome or whatever, and it will save. It'll say you've saved your window that had 26 tabs, and it'll have the icon for it and the name of the website. And so back when I had a computer with less RAM, I would do that often whenever I overloaded my computer. Luckily, or I guess unluckily, I now have a computer that I maximized just to be able to hold as many tabs as possible. So I'm unchained.
But first of all, you get that many tabs, you can't tell from the tab what that page is, right? It's just
Leo, there's this, that is a problem. If I ever get to the point where you can't really even read the description at the top, then I move the tabs around. But there's also a feature, I assume this is in other browsers, where right now I'm working on a story about a nonprofit organization. So I was looking I knew I had a section of tabs that were all the different annual reports. And so I just type in my browser window, annual report, and then it says, do you want to jump to these tabs? And I click it, and then I go there, and I'm back in my spot.
You can only look at one tab at once, though, right? You never look at you don't do split the window.
I've got two screens up right now, so I can look at two tabs, I could have multiple things on one screen.
I just don't understand it as an organizational style. And I also know that browsers just hate it. It's just a terrible thing to do to your computer.
Well, no, now Chrome will basically turn off a tab and if it's not used up for a while.
Well, that must be annoying to you. The tab
as soon as you click on it,
Yeah, the problem is that
it's
web
there. It just fades it.
It's hidden.
The web isn't fully isn't stateless anymore, so they're constantly using the data connection and doing some processing while it's open.
That's right.
So I think the point is it stops that to kind of make it stateless, and then when you go back, it wakes it up.
I don't know. I'm a tab closer.
Apparently, it is a girly thing to have many tabs.
No.
Yeah.
No, I have learned that I am in the minority, that most people have lots of tabs, especially technical people.
Actually, this is something else. The Venn diagram of things I have in common with Mike Masnick is he has massive loads of tabs as well.
Oh, yeah.
I feel left out. Honestly, everybody I know is tab heavy. Yeah. And I just don't understand. I don't get how, I don't understand the workflow at all. I close tabs as I go. Well, I just hope they have better tab hygiene in the new year. That's all I can say. We love having Cathy Gellis on. She's great, and we will have more of her in the new year, I promise you. You're watching the best of This Week in Google 2024. We're so glad you're here. On we go with more of the best of This Week in Google. I was not here for this one. Micah Sargent was filling in for me, and we got a little taste of Paris's entrepreneurial reporting. Watch.
I found out where the skin came from. I don't know if you guys want to know.
No,
I do.
Yes, we do.
It's from a company called PromoCell. It's called Normal Human Dermal Fibroblasts And it's described on the website as, and I quote, primary normal human dermal fibroblasts isolated from the dermis of juvenile foreskin or adult skin.
Stop.
Oh my God.
Stop.
No.
You're kidding me.
No, I'm not.
Jesus.
It's the scraps at the hospital, right?
So it's either that or it came from adult skin from different donors. But that's just what the website said. And I thought you all needed to know.
So it's a smiling penis face.
Potentially.
Show title.
No.
No, we can't.
Oh, come on. Smiling penis face. No bad
That's
words
actually
there.
pretty good.
People are going to want to watch the show to find out. And they got to watch all 3 hours to find out what it is.
You can apparently request the available donors and ask.
I don't want to know.
Donor criteria.
Hi. I would like to let you know what I did.
Paris is a reporter.
Amen.
This is what it's all about,
scraping.
guys.
All right, here's the next question.
Teach a
Paris,
class.
can you buy them and can we order some for Leo?
We could get 500,000 cells of juvenile foreskin cryopreserved for $662.
Oh,
but
come on. Let's do a Kickstarter
I think
for
we
this.
can't.
It's cryopreserved too, so he'd open it up and he'd be like,
Lisa says you ordered what?
Oh, they've got a real sale on just adult, no specification cryopreserved.
We don't want to know.
You can get it for $323.
it's like, where did that even come from? Great. Who knows? Holy cow. My life was changed today because I just wonder now how much skin that is used in research is actually coming from the byproduct of genital mutilation, which it is.
It's true. There's a lot of trucks talking about that in New York City.
Wait a minute. Wait. I'm hearing something. Coming in from somewhere in Pigeon Park. Ladies and gentlemen. Oh, he's up in the gear. Craig Newmark. How you doing, Craig? You want to set the record straight, I understand.
Correct me, please.
On the pancake
last
machine.
Week.
I own no pancake machines. I just think of how tough they'd be to clean. Plus, Mrs. Newmark makes better.
That's the truth.
Pancake machines are in airport lounges. And the first thing I do is push the start button even before I put my luggage down.
Because he's got priorities.
You do it for the food or you do it for the fun?
Food, fun, and to remind myself that I have the tastes of a peasant. I was raised that way in a neighborhood with junkyards.
Yes.
Wow.
I may be a peasant with money now, but I'm a peasant.
This is everyday people right here.
You can take the boy out of the junkyard, but you can't take the pancake machine out of the boy, I guess, or something.
So you spend, I think, too much time in Alaskan Air lounges.
Apparently.
Considering how often you have marked in social. I thought it was so often it had to be at home.
I've been traveling back and forth more than you think between New York and San Francisco. In New York now, but the deal is that, the lounge is a nice indulgence. Like private jets are out of the question, but free pancakes, not bad. But again, I commit to the statement that Mrs. Newmark makes better pancakes than the machine does.
I honestly would hope so. These are disgusting looking.
That's horrible.
Or they're pretty good. I've had them too.
Are you saying, Craig, they're better than you would expect, but not as good as Mrs. Newmark's?
They are considerably better than you'd expect. They seem to be sanitary.
Well, they are. They're touchless.
You just want to know.
Seem to be, he says. Seems.
How many do you have at a sitting?
Generally 2, sometimes more. As you see, I'm very efficient, and I pre-syrup the plate before the pancakes drop.
I respect
but I'm anal enough that I actually get upset that you see it's a little off there. It's a little off, Greg.
Pre-syrups.
Your target practice
pre-gaming if you pre-syrup?
I respect that. I have to try that. I've never even thought about that. All right, Queen Pruitt, tomorrow we got pancakes pre-syrup in the plates.
Oh, now Craig, I guess really it does beg the question. Maybe you don't have it in the kitchen, but you could have it in your office or something, just in case you had a craving for pancakes.
If I did that, then the pigeons would get to it first.
Just don't confuse it with the shredder.
How are the? By the way, I share your fascination with how these things work. There are kind of an amazing scientific achievement. It's a genius invention. Craig is now. We're looking at Craig's Insta. He's Craig Newmark on Instagram, and he's got close-ups of the insides.
He's following the pancake.
The world-famous pancake printer from Alaska Airlines. My favorite one was the very sad one of the pancake machine all closed up for the night. No access to the pancakes. That was
Craig sad.
Tragic. Very tragic. How are the pigeons these days, by the way? Are they doing well?
The pigeons are well. We saw Ghostface Killer this morning. And although I was surprised, there were a couple rivals for his, he's boss of the pecking order. And we thought Scarface and Big Face were in a shallow grave someplace.
Oh, wow.
But I saw
it being New York. Wow. They were sleeping with the fishes.
When you say Ghostface Killer, it's not a euphemism. He might well be. Oh, wow.
Well, he's tougher than I am. But apparently, I saw Scarface in front of the coffee shop today.
Oh, thank God.
And apparently, Scarface was exiled. For a moment, I thought it might have been a vision from Pigeon Heaven.
But
apparently,
you saw Scarface outside your home, out in the wild,
outside of Joe's Coffee in the village. So I was pretty glad to see him because, again, I didn't want it to be a séance.
A pigeon séance is kind of a pathetic event, I must say.
How many regular pigeons do you have? I mean, it's a regular cast of characters in your atrium there.
If you hear,
or do you find new ones all the time?
Corn. I don't know. Hit the table.
Well, there's only a limited number that are visibly distinct. Pigeons mostly look the same, like the big.
They say the same thing about us, but yes.
I wasn't going to go there.
There's a big pigeon idol going up on the High Line, and it conforms to the pigeon ideal.
The platonic ideal of a pigeon, a perfect pigeon on the High Line. Craig does. People, of course, know who Craig Newmark is. Craigslist. You ever hear of that? And his philanthropies are at craignewmarkphilanthropies.org. That's a sweet shot of you, Craig.
Love
Such
that.
a cute shot.
Love that shot.
It says, I'm an old school nerd helping to protect people, protect our country. And the donations that you have given, not just to Pigeon Rescue, but to journalism. You gave another $10 million to CUNY earlier this year. Well done. That's really great. And in fact, I don't think Jeff would have had a job if it weren't for you.
You might be able to hear me. Someone just tried calling me and it knocked Zoom off the air.
No, we hear you.
No, we got you.
Oh, we hear you.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah. We're going to let Craig push some buttons here. Other donations, $1 million to help military-connected families late last year. That was after the Lahaina fires. This is, Craig, you are in every way kind of what we hope successful people become in this country, and what unfortunately so rarely successful people become in this country. So thank you for being a mensch. Well, I hope you're enjoying this best of. It's always fun to do these, and I have to tell you, it's a lot of work, and I really appreciate our team, the people who work so hard. Anthony Nielsen, our creative director, our producers and editors, Benito Gonzalez, Kevin King, John Ashley. They work so hard to put this all together for you.
All of our hosts, our contributors do. And of course, there's the office people who do work in continuity, like Viva and Sebastian, our CEO, Lisa. TWiT is a big effort, and we think what we're doing is really important. I hope you do too. I hope you enjoy the company and learn from the information. And if you do, I'd like you to consider joining our club, because frankly, in 2025, that's the only thing that's going to keep TWiT going. If you like what you hear and you want to continue, please, $7 a month, consider joining Club TWiT. twit.tv/Club TWiT. You get ad-free versions of all the shows, access to our Discord, special programming you don't get anywhere else. But really, the main thing you get is that warm and fuzzy feeling that you're keeping TWiT going. We need your help. I hate to beg, but we really do. twit.tv/Club TWiT. But enough of that. On with the show. I want to do this story because I was going to be in this movie. I've told you this story when I met Francis Ford Coppola and he cast me.
This is a good story.
Yeah.
No, you didn't tell the story. No, you didn't tell that story.
I never told that story?
He cast you in what?
So way back when I was an acting student, so this is maybe 30 years ago, when you're an early actor, you get this magazine. I know they probably don't have it anymore, where in the back there's all the auditions. And I spotted an audition for Francis Ford Coppola for Zoetrope. So I submitted a recorded monologue, Macbeth's monologue.
How was it recorded? Was it on a VHS?
It was just audio.
Do you still have it?
No, I wish I did. It was audio.
Did you send it via mail?
Yes, I mailed it. And they called me and they said, Francis would like you to come down. So we went to the Zoetrope building in San Francisco with a few other actors down in the basement. Francis Ford Coppola, the great director, was pretty big and I think wore the same black suit every night. It was just like a tent that he wore. And so you go down in the basement. He has a beautiful recording studio and we recorded from the script that he had. It was for a movie that was going to be called Megalopolis. Now, this was the 80s.
Jeez.
He has been making this movie since then.
Wow.
The recordings that we were making were what they call previs. Some directors, Hitchcock was famous for doing a sketch of each shot. Many modern directors actually make audio comic books, like almost an animated show of the movie ahead of time, and that's apparently what Coppola did. So I was the voice talent for the detective in Megalopolis. I only did it for a few nights. Francis said, "Can you sound more like Bob Woodward?" And I said, "What? How does Bob Woodward sound?"
Like he's from Nebraska.
I think he wanted me to sound more like Dustin Hoffman playing Bob Woodward, but I
Bob Woodward has a unique. No, Bob Woodward and Kurt Anderson sound uniquely alike. They sound like it's like a Nebraska accent.
Well, maybe that's what he wanted. He wasn't clear.
You could have been famous, Leo, if you just listened to him and did what he wanted.
Well, then I made a mistake.
It would have taken a while.
So the next day, I had Father Guido Sarducci on my radio show. You probably don't remember him.
Oh, yes, I do.
He was on Saturday Night Live. He was a comedian, Don Novello, who played one role only. It was a chain-smoking Vatican priest named Father Guido Sarducci with a bad Italian accent. Coppola liked him. He's cast him in other movies. I made the mistake of mentioning, oh yeah, I've been working with Francis. We're doing the voice track.
You mentioned on air?
Well, I was during the interviews, but it probably wasn't on air, but it was.
Oh, okay.
No. I know. I know better than that. But during a break, I said, Don, I was, I know you're friends with Francis. I'm doing. He called and snarfed my job. They recast the part with Don Novello. So that was that. Anyway, the movie is finally out after 40
with Don Novello
years.
in it?
No, I doubt.
Okay.
I still haven't seen Megalopolis. I'm not sure at this point. I actually won. Hey, we're so glad you're here. This is the best of 2024 for this week in Google. On we go with the best of 2024 with what was turning out to be, I think, one of the most interesting uses of AI all year long. AI-generated podcasts.
I did it too. I did one where I took 7 articles that were in the rundown last week on AI and put it in. But then I decided to do the Paris version where I took her oeuvre about her new beat. So there was 4 stories.
Oh.
And I had to make PDFs of each story. Easy, just print it.
Wow.
And then put it in. So here's the Paris show.
That's a phrase that makes you think of, robot teachers and kids writing essays with a blink. But
that's funny, right? There was a lot of fear when tools like ChatGPT came out. Like everyone was worried about the future of learning. But what's happening in schools today is way more complicated than that. We've got a bunch of research.
Do you recognize the article this is based on?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's just very funny that it's got like a cold open.
It's so natural.
Yes.
Yeah.
Reports in these articles, you name it, that paint an interesting picture. So let's dive deep into AI and education. Initially, there was a lot of fear, and rightfully so. I remember those articles from The Atlantic and Inside Higher Ed. Teachers,
this is not good. This puts us out of business, Jeff.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah,
this is better than anything we could do.
Why are we out here at 7 p.m. at night doing this, guys?
No kidding.
Bye.
They're giggling. They're laughing.
We're saying AI
They're
was
saying
like a plague, worried about the death of critical thinking and all that.
Yeah, it's interesting though, right? This fear, it always comes up with new tech in education. Like, think about calculators or the internet, even letting kids have cell phones in class. Every time there's anxiety. And to be fair, the worries about jobs and critical
She
thinking.
sounds nice. I'd like to get to know her. And he's pretty friendly sounding too.
Yeah.
So did Stephen explain how they're doing this? Those are real human voices that they've ingested?
I don't know how they do
Podcast did they
technology.
train on?
But must have been
but
ours.
The thing about Notebook LM is that it's fairly rag based in the sense that it doesn't go off in making up stuff all over, but it obviously uses context and brings context into that discussion. It's pretty damned amazing.
This is Stephen's post, actually not Stephen's, from Biao Wang. Notebook LM now lets you listen to conversations about your sources. So you provide it with, what is the limit? You said the word RAG, retrieval augmented generation. It's when you take documents and feed them to an LLM and then ask it to summarize. What is the limit of the number of documents?
I think it's 50 now. It's quite a lot.
50. Wow.
Yeah, we could take, it'd be, I didn't want to, I have a life, so I didn't do this. But it would be interesting to take, let's say, last week's show and take all the articles we in fact talked about, make a PDF of each and put it in and see what podcast it created.
I don't think it would have a fun diatribe about WikiFeet, though.
No, it wouldn't.
That's the sort of human content you can only get on This Week in Google.
Here with us.
I do want to ask a little tiny favor from all of you, not just Club Twit members. Every year, you may remember, we do a survey of our audience. We want to get to know you a little bit better. It helps us with sales because we can say, as we often do, 70% of our audience are IT decision makers, that kind of thing. It's a very quick survey. Shouldn't only take you a couple of minutes. twit.tv/survey. This is the new 2024-2025 survey. We're starting a little bit earlier this year than we usually do. It just helps us, and it would be doing us all a favor if you did it. So in between shows, maybe twit.tv/survey. Thank you so much.
Really
Paris, how is that going, by the way?
How's it going?
Great. I had my final class on this weekend. I think somebody posted in the Discord earlier a photo of me with my saw. I can repost it.
So
they let me use a big saw, and I'm taking a test this weekend.
For people who perhaps don't listen to every single show.
Damn you.
What's wrong with you? Phil, catch us up.
So the lore of this is that I have long been a guerrilla gardener. In the spring and summer months, I carry around a little pair of pruning shears and I trim low-hanging branches. I recently learned there's a way to go legit, and it's by taking classes offered by the New York City the New York City Parks Department funds this group called NY Trees that does a citizen pruner course. So I've been taking courses over the last couple of weeks on how to properly prune and care for New York City street trees. It was mostly virtual, but the last one was in person this weekend on the Upper West Side, and I just posted in the Discord a photo of me with the big saw that they let me use to cut.
That is a big saw.
Whoa.
Yes,
don't mess with Paris, Ranger Paris.
Wow.
That's me. So I've got to take a test. I'm probably going to do it this weekend. And then if I pass, I'll get a license to a smaller saw and another glove. And
Are you allowed to walk the streets of New York with that saw?
Yeah, I will.
I'd go the other way if I saw somebody. You look like the Grim Reaper.
Well, it's not normally that big. I extended it because I had to cut down a branch. I was doing a 3-point cut to cut a larger branch to make sure it wouldn't fall.
Is the test at a tree or over a piece of paper?
It's virtual. It's like an online test. I was taking the course virtual.
Just to ask you
so
if you
no
know
trees harm.
I have
to identify common street trees. I have to answer questions about how to prune and care for them. Different things like that.
I put a story in the rundown to this effect because it brings this together with Google. Line 138.
Oh, I was still looking at Paris and her giant saw. Hold on. I got to move on. Is that your motto, by the way, now? Don't feel guilty, feel healthy? I think that's appropriate.
No. Did you choose the setting? It's kind of perfect, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty good, right?
So Paris has told us that once she does get her actual physical license, we'll have a little graduation party for her. And for those of you who live in New York City, beware of a lady with pruning shears. She has a license to prune. It is a fun show, I have to say, and we're so glad that you have been part of This Week in Google in 2024. On behalf of Paris Martineau and Jeff Jarvis, I'm Leo Laporte. We hope you have been having a wonderful holiday, a wonderful Christmas Day if you're watching on Christmas Day, and we wish you the best for 2025. And we will be here for you on the TWiT network. So we'll see you next year. Happy New Year, everybody. Take care.